Victim number 3, as she's called, was set to testify against the music mogul.
One of their key witnesses against the rapper appears to have gone missing. This comes as we learn that Combs' ex-girlfriend, who was seen on video being assaulted by the rapper, is pregnant.
The name of victim number 3 was going to be revealed when she took the stand, but the woman has apparently gone missing, and prosecutors say they've been unable to reach her. If the prosecutor can't find this witness, how might it affect the case?
Look, I don't think it's going to have a tremendous effect. The prosecution is going to call a number of alleged victims. So look, this is just one less.
Sean Diddy Combs, once the undisputed emperor of platinum parties and chart-topping anthems, now reduced to exchanging whispered strategy sessions with a phalanx of attorneys. The man who could once summon supermodels and moguls with a single phone call is fighting to keep every sliver of his freedom, because federal prosecutors say his glittering empire was built on a foundation of fear, manipulation, and allegedly criminal control.
Prosecutors are expected to paint Combs as the head of a criminal organization who exploited his fame and fortune to abuse women and men. Defense attorneys plan to counter by saying Combs was not acting illegally and all relationships were consensual.
They insist the case is airtight, the evidence mountain high, yet only days before opening statements, a linchpin witness nicknamed Victim 3 has simply vanished. Gone. Poof. No calls, no texts, no forwarded mail. One moment she was ready to testify, the next she might as well have stepped into another dimension. Coincidence or calculated disappearance? That question is already warping the trajectory of a trial many insiders are calling the most explosive courtroom showdown since the 2019 college admissions saga.
Running a criminal enterprise. They say that he forced his employees to both work long hours and participate in a sex trafficking scheme that took place over 2 decades, that he coerced women into sex, that he held these parties known as freak-offs and brought in prostitutes to participate in those parties. So he is facing a litany of charges in this case and ultimately could spend his life in prison if found guilty.
Let us rewind. For more than 2 decades, Diddy cultivated a public image of relentless hustle and champagne-fueled success. He danced in music videos, strutted across red carpets, and declared that failure was never an option. Behind the velvet ropes, however, rumors swirled that the lifestyle came with a darker cost. Former collaborators whispered about ruthless business tactics, personal relationships blurred with professional obligations, and a power dynamic so lopsided it could tilt a skyscraper.
Diddy had every room taped and bugged. Diddy had, bruh, can you imagine? He had every room taped and bugged, and they found little bugs and little tape recorders.
Still, for fans around the world, the mogul remained an avatar of aspiration, proof that a kid from Harlem could spin street smarts into billions. Then came the raids. Black SUVs outside gated mansions in Los Angeles and Miami, federal agents combing closets for hard drives and diaries. Overnight, the fairy tale curdled into a legal nightmare. By spring of this year, prosecutors had unveiled a sweeping indictment alleging racketeering, illicit transport of individuals across state lines, and a pattern of intimidation that, if proven, could put Diddy behind bars for the rest of his natural life.
And we have more breaking news. A jury has finally been selected and opening statements are getting started in the Sean Diddy Combs trafficking trial.
Enter Victim 3. According to court filings, she was poised to deliver testimony that would stitch together disparate allegations into a single, devastating narrative. Her account, insiders claim, would have illustrated precisely how Diddy allegedly leveraged his fame and fortune to silence critics and corral loyalty. In pre-trial hearings, the prosecution painted her as a courageous truth-teller whose words could snap the jury awake like an unexpected cymbal crash. Defense attorneys braced for a credibility war, ready to question her motives, her memory, perhaps even her identity. And then, in the middle of witness preparation week, she disappeared.
One of their key witnesses against the rapper appears to have gone missing. This comes as we learn that Combs' ex-girlfriend, who was seen on video being assaulted by the rapper, is pregnant.
No surveillance footage, no suspicious rideshare receipts, no explanatory note. Just a widening silence that left government lawyers staring at empty chairs. and chewing their pens. Legal scholars wasted no time dissecting the fallout. A former federal investigator told cable news that losing a star witness can feel like yanking the battery out of a clock. You might still have gears, but nothing moves the same. Another analyst compared the scenario to removing the queen piece, moments before chess endgame. Yet prosecutors remain defiantly optimistic. They argue the case is bigger than any single voice, emphasizing seized electronic records, corroborating testimonies from industry insiders, and that now infamous hotel hallway video showing Diddy in a physical altercation with his former partner Cassie Ventura.
If the prosecutor can't find this witness, how might it affect the case?
Look, I don't think it's going to have a tremendous effect. The prosecution is going to call a number of alleged victims. So look, this is just one less.
Cassie, who is expecting a child and intends to testify under her legal name, brings a human dimension the jury cannot ignore. Her stature, both literal and figurative, contrasts starkly with Diddy's towering persona, which could make sympathetic jurors bristle at any suggestion of equal footing. Behind the scenes, tensions escalate like a kettle forgotten on the stove. Homeland Security investigators, aware of the intense public interest, have reportedly assigned additional security teams to protect every remaining witness, some of whom live in undisclosed locations. According to one courthouse source, phones are collected before strategy briefings, and names are whispered instead of written. Meanwhile, defense lawyers sharpen their message. Diddy is an innovator, not an intimidator, an icon, not an instigator. They hint that certain relationships were messy but mutual, that adults sometimes make questionable choices without coercion. It is a gamble. Jurors tend to recoil when blame is redirected toward alleged victims.
He did appear to be happy this morning. He was hugging his defense team, his 8 lawyers there at the table, and his family showed up in force today. His mother, 6 children are there to support him, and we saw him blowing kisses to them as things got underway this morning.
Yet, if the missing witness never reappears, the defense might persuade at least one skeptical listener that the prosecution's house of cards lacks structural support. Mid-trial mind games are already underway. On jury selection day 3, a potential panelist admitted she used to blast Diddy's music on repeat, but now feels uneasy after watching the hotel video. The judge dismissed her instantly, reminding the gallery that emotional neutrality is paramount. Minutes later, another candidate declared he never trusts celebrity media. The defense nodded approvingly. The prosecution scribbled furiously. Observers say both sides are hunting for jurors who can navigate tabloid noise without drowning in it. Diddy's team reportedly favors younger individuals, perhaps more attuned to influencer culture, while prosecutors lean toward community-minded, adults who value accountability over glamour. It is a high-stakes balancing act, and every raised eyebrow in the jury box feels like a potential omen.
And we know that 8 men and 4 women have been selected for this jury. We know that 5 of them are from Manhattan, 4 of them from Westchester, and 3 are from the Bronx.
Let's pause for a heartbeat. If you have followed the saga this far, smash that like button and tap subscribe, because we are only halfway through the twists. And trust me, the next chapters could rewrite music industry history. Now, back to our story. As the courtroom drama intensifies, civil litigation looms like a thundercloud on the horizon. Attorney Andrew Van Arsdale says he represents more than 30 plaintiffs who claim they endured emotional or professional harm tied to Diddy's orbit. And he hints 400 additional stories may surface if the criminal case unlocks fresh courage. That is not a typo. 400. Another well-known lawyer, Tony Busby, warns that the final list of names could shock anyone who thinks they already know the boundaries of this scandal.
Mr. Combs feels A, he's innocent, which is why he's not going to plead guilty. B, he's going to be truthful about this case because he wants to portray that to the people who have loved him his whole life.
Confidential calls pour into legal hotlines by the hundreds every week. Each potential claimant weighing the risk of speaking out against a titan versus the relief of unburdening years of secrets. Some callers reportedly mention A-list witnesses ranging from superstar athletes to chart-dominating singers, none accused of wrongdoing themselves, but possibly holding key memories of extravagant after-parties or whispered warnings.
She did, and when the judge did, Diddy, who was sitting at the defense table with his attorneys, did not show any signs of emotion. He took a sip of water before he was led out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals. Now, his lawyers have vowed to fight this. They are going to be back in court on Wednesday before the judge who will oversee this trial and try to get Diddy to be released.
Prosecutors, mindful that sensational headlines can backfire, tread carefully around these parallel suits. They stress that the criminal trial is not a referendum on rumors. It is about specific charges, provable beyond a reasonable doubt. Yet, they also know that patterns of behavior carry weight, even if jurors are instructed to focus solely on admissible evidence. Speaking of evidence, Judge Arn Subramanian recently ruled that seized digital files, sometimes described as private recordings, are admissible, rejecting defense claims of unconstitutional searches. Translation: there is a real possibility that select video clips could be played in open court. Imagine the ripple effect if jurors, reporters, and by extension, the entire internet witness content that has, until now, existed only as rumor. 1. Entertainment lawyer remarked that a single shocking clip could bury a decade of brand building in 60 seconds. While all of this unfolds, whispers swirl about plea negotiations. Sources close to the case allege that prosecutors floated a deal involving a decade-plus sentence in exchange for a guilty plea on reduced charges. Diddy, according to those same whispers, rejected the offer outright. His inner circle appears split. Some advisors push for a pragmatic compromise, arguing that a definite timeline is better than gambling on a life sentence. Others insist that accepting any guilt would destroy the legacy he spent a lifetime crafting.
He believes he's innocent. And what's more, he believes that he needs to stand up, not just for himself, for his family, and for everybody who's been targeted by the federal government.
Adding fuel to the fire, 2 veteran attorneys have already withdrawn from his defense roster, citing unspecified conflicts. Legal gossip suggests disagreements about strategy, specifically whether to concede minor wrongdoing to gain leniency or go scorched earth and contest every allegation. The revolving door counsel feeds the narrative of a defense team in flux, even as official statements project unity. Meanwhile, social media churns 24/7. Hashtags oscillate between support and condemnation. Some fans proclaim unwavering belief in Diddy's innocence, citing philanthropic ventures and industry mentorships. Critics counter with clipped video montages and long-buried articles describing unsettled disputes, unpaid royalties, and abrupt label departures. Influencers dissect the courtroom fashion choices, the body language, the slightest frown. Every time a new motion is filed, trending lists light up brighter than Times Square. For jurors ordered to avoid coverage, the temptation to peek must be immense. For prosecutors, each viral rumor is a potential contamination event. And for Diddy, every meme is another reminder that in the digital age, public opinion can shift faster than an algorithm refresh. Amid the noise, Cassie's upcoming testimony looms large. Observers note that her pregnancy adds poignancy. Jurors may instinctively empathize with a soon-to-be mother recalling moments of fear. The defense will likely argue that their past relationship was complex and consensual, that the infamous surveillance footage shows a heated argument rather than a crime. Yet body language experts on morning shows have already declared the clip damning, suggesting it depicts clear aggression from a significantly larger partner. If the jury agrees, the footage alone could weigh heavily, missing witness or not. And remember, Victim 3's absence cuts both ways. The defense can question prosecutorial integrity, but skeptics might wonder whether intimidation played a role, reinforcing the image of unchecked power. Then there is the superseding indictment cloud. Federal investigators have hinted that should Diddy refuse a plea, additional charges involving firearms or controlled substances could materialize, further upping the pressure. Think of it as legal chess. Prosecutors keep extra pieces off the board until just the right moment, forcing the other side to reconsider every move. Insiders say that possibility keeps late-night meetings humming inside Diddy's legal war room, where strategists pore over deposition transcripts and timeline charts under the glow of laptop screens. All eyes now turn to Monday when opening. Statements are scheduled to begin, assuming no last-minute delays. Spectators are already lining up for gallery passes, eager to witness an empire under siege. A veteran court sketch artist who covered the 2017 Pharma Executive trial predicted this proceeding will eclipse even that circus. "The energy is electric," she explained. "You can practically taste the tension." Meanwhile, federal marshals finalize seating charts to keep potential witnesses separated, guards rehearse escort protocols, and a rumor circulates that one former collaborator may appear unexpectedly with immunity in exchange for testimony. If true, the revelation could send social media into immediate meltdown. So, where does that leave us? With victim 3 missing, the prosecution faces a razor-thin margin for error. The defense senses an opening wider than Fifth Avenue at dawn. Cassie's story, those private recordings, a parade of civil plaintiffs waiting in the wings, all of it could converge into a perfect storm or evaporate into reasonable doubt. Will jurors see a persecuted entrepreneur or a manipulative puppet master? Will the disappearance of a key witness trigger sympathy for the defense or outrage at potential foul play? And perhaps most tantalizing, if prosecutors manage to secure a conviction, how many additional claimants will step forward, emboldened by a verdict that says even the mightiest mogul cannot outrun accountability? We are about to find out. In the meantime, drop your take in the comments below. Do you believe victim 3 simply got cold feet, or do you suspect a hidden hand nudged her into the shadows? Could this trial mark the collapse of a cultural dynasty, or will Diddy dance away once again, remixed and rebranded? Hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and stick with us as we cover every jaw-dropping twist. Because if the past few weeks are any indication, the next revelation is only one court filing away, and you will not want to miss it.